Hi, I'm Philip Anthony Albertelli, and welcome to The Week in Doubt, episode 54. Today's episode is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/theweekindoubt. Over 100,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. I'd like to start by giving a kind of dual shout out to both Chris Weber of C-Web Sunday School and Lawrence Krauss. I got some pretty exciting news from Chris today. I was sitting in the doctor's office waiting room when I suddenly received an email from Chris stating, "You did it." And I was thinking, did what? I was hoping it was something good. Turns out Lawrence Krauss, the well-known theoretical physicist and cosmologist, author of A Universe from Nothing, tweeted out a link to a video on my YouTube page. It was a link specifically to an excerpt from an episode of Real Time with Bill Maher I had uploaded. Anyone else uncomfortable with the word tweeted? Kind of sounds like a bodily function. But anyway, thanks to both Chris and the legendary Lawrence Krauss. It seems I have to issue a correction. Last week I had been critiquing the Bible miniseries, and I had stated that I thought it was kind of strange that Roma Downey portrays the Virgin Mary, when historically speaking, a girl of childbearing age in the first century Middle East, as disturbing as it might sound to our modern ears, could have been as young as 12 or 13. Well, it turns out a different actress plays young Mary, and Roma Downey plays the older Mary. But in fairness, I did say she looked good. I also want to make another correction of sorts. In last week's episode, I had also said half-jokingly that the uncanny resemblance between Satan, as portrayed in the Bible miniseries, and President Obama made one wonder about the intent of the producers. But supposedly, Roma Downey and Mark Burnett, the celebrity couple behind the series, are both Obama supporters. Well, supporter might be the wrong word, but they say they, quote-unquote, have nothing but love and respect for our president, who is a fellow Christian. Oh, and yet another correction. Apparently, the lead actor in the 70s quote-unquote blaxploitation movie, Black Samson, doesn't sport a broad-brimmed hat at all, but merely a sizable afro. If you didn't listen to last week's episode, then that may come across as a rather strange and tasteless non sequitur. I had been jokingly explaining that while researching the ethnicity of Samson, the biblical figure, I accidentally happened across a poster for an old 70s exploitation film entitled Black Samson. But anyway, speaking of the Bible miniseries, well, first a random thought. For the sake of argument, if Jesus is real, do you think he ever gets annoyed with people constantly mispronouncing his name? Isn't the proper Aramaic pronunciation Yeshua? You are healed by the power of Yeshua. Got a different kind of ring to it. Anyway, speaking of the Bible miniseries, there's a story in the news of a rather deluded Christian radio host, that's if he believes his own rantings, who thinks that God was behind the recent story where the devil in the Bible miniseries was thought by many to bear an uncanny resemblance to President Obama. I'm reading here from an online article on a site called Investors Hub, but the story has been all over TV and the net. Christian radio host Rick Wiles recently claimed on his True News show that God intervened on the History Channel's The Bible miniseries to make the Satan character look like President Obama. Wiles' statement was apparently in response to many conservatives, including Glenn Beck, who have claimed that the Satan character looks similar to Obama. Well, conservative or not, I thought he does look kind of like evil Obama. And here I'm quoting again. God guided the hand of the makeup artist and blinded the eyes of everybody on the movie set while it was being recorded, says Wiles. Wiles also claims that God removed the spiritual blinders once the program was broadcast nationally on the History Channel. How many clues do we need from heaven to understand that the man in the White House is a devil from hell, said Wiles. In response to the controversy, or if you're English, controversy, the History Channel said in a recent press release, History Channel has the highest respect for President Obama, the network said in a press release. The series was produced with an intentional and diverse cast of respected actors. It's unfortunate that anyone made this false connection. History's the Bible is meant to enlighten people on its rich stories and deep history. And now, this is me. I don't know if this Wiles guy really believes the nonsense he's spewing or if he's just trying to get attention. I think that's one of the dangers of religion. It requires a certain amount of the suspension of disbelief and superstitious thinking. And where does it end? When you're already partially detached from reality, why not make up your own narrative? It must have been God guiding the hands of the makeup artist. I would say it leaves me speechless, but I'm not sure anything could do that. On to the next story. If you're a regular listener, then you've probably heard me express my scorn for the Westboro Baptist Church on numerous occasions. If you're unfamiliar with the group, they're a group of bigoted fundamentalists that picket funerals and other events, joyfully holding up signs that say things such as "God hates fags." Well, it seems they've finally gotten a taste of their own medicine. Here's a few paragraphs from a Huffington Post article about someone who bought a house across from the Westboro Baptist Church and painted it like a gay pride flag. Aaron Jackson, one of the founders of Planting Peace, a multi-pronged charity that has in the past concentrated on rainforest conservation, opening orphanages and deworming programs, bought a house that sits directly across from the church's compound 6 months ago. On Tuesday, March 19th, he and a team of volunteers are painting it to match the gay pride flag. And this is in past tense. I've seen the video clips on the news, and the house has been painted rainbow colored. The project, which the nonprofit is calling the Equality House, is the first in a new campaign Planting Peace plans to wage against the group. Westboro is known for its intimidating tactics of protesting or threatening to protest what they refer to as America's pro-gay, anti-God agenda. In close proximity to pride parades, soldiers' funerals, and other events like the Sandy Hook Memorial Services. Now that, I don't think you can get any lower than that. And here the article is quoting Aaron Jackson. I read a story about Joseph Miles, a 10-year-old kid who counter-protested the Westboro Baptist Church by holding the sign that says, "God hates no one," Jackson told the Huffington Post. Well, I think I have a few more minutes, so what I'm going to do is play a clip from the most recent episode of Real Time with Bill Maher when he's kind of lampooning Pope Francis in his New Rules segment. And I'm actually getting this audio from the Huff Post.
That's my truth again. And finally, new rule, the news media has to stop all this ridiculous, over-the-top coverage of the Virgin Bachelor. No, not that one, this one. Now, I gotta tell you, I have just about had it with the press squealing in delight at every mundane thing the new pope does. Oh, look, he walked across the street. He picked the name Francis. He shook hands. Oh, fuck, he's a 76-year-old executive who got a promotion. They act like he's a baby who just made a boom-boom. In his first tweet, the new pope asked everybody to pray for him, and the media was blown away. Wow, prayer. I never saw that coming. So out of the box. He is amazing. And did you hear he used to ride the bus? It's like we're all suddenly living in a papal tabloid. Popes, they're just like us. They like riding with the top down. They enjoy gossip. They put up with Joe Biden. Look, there are over 1 billion Catholics, just on the back of my gardener's truck. So I get it that this is a legitimate news story, but can we at least stop saying that the job of Pope is so hard, such a burden, no one would even want it? What? Okay, first of all, you're selling an invisible product. It doesn't get any easier than that. No one's ever going to come back from the dead and say, oh, it's bullshit up there, there's no heaven. It's just an empty lot. Hard job, all a pope does is talk, and everything you say is right by definition. And you're there for life. Talk about tenure. And what other business could you be in where your company gets caught running a child sex ring since forever, and you still keep your customers? And that is the advantage of being around for 2,000 years. You know, people think all the church's rules and traditions come right from Jesus, but almost none of them do. The Catholic Church has basically always done what we do here at Real Time. It's a bunch of guys sitting around making up new rules. For example, new rule, confession. Jesus never said anything about confession, even thought of it. They pulled that out of their ass in the 12th century. Just like they did with new rule. Women can't be priests. That's also not in the Bible. Neither is celibacy for priests. We didn't have that until the 4th century. And even then, priests could still get married. They just couldn't have sex, like regular marriage. Jesus also never said anything about a pope, let alone that he should live in a palace and get carried around in a chair like Liz Taylor and Cleopatra. Or papal infallibility, another rectum-derived edict that came in the year 1870. It's an eternal truth that's 11 years younger than the escalator. I remember the new rule they made up when I was a little Catholic boy. Okay, first we had new rule, no meat on Fridays. And then one day, and I do mean one day, the Pope went, this just in. Hold on, I'm getting something. New rule, meat okay on Fridays. I mean, the whole thing is just so shamelessly made up as they go along. Or how about this whopper? New rule, not only does God have a son, who's really him, but there's also a Holy Ghost in there, and they're all one person called the Trinity. A Catholic monk named Tertullian made up the Holy Ghost in the 3rd century, and after that, it is true. I tell you, religion, it's like Wikipedia. Anyone can write something in. All right, that's our show. Thank you.
All right, so thank you, Bill. And sorry if any of you have sensitive ears out there. I don't mind swearing at all, but just out of respect for all my listeners, I usually try to keep the swearing to a minimum. So if that F-bomb hurt your delicate ears, my sincere apologies. And that was pretty fun. And with that, I'm going to call it a wrap. And as always, you've been listening to The Week in Doubt. And you can like the Facebook page, you can subscribe or rate the show through iTunes or through Podbean. You can look for The Week in Doubt on YouTube and check out some of the video uploads. Any support is appreciated. Thank you.